Mute. Unmute. Okay.
It usually says
I think I hit the, okay, here we go.
It usually says recording in progress when you press record.
What's that?
It usually says recording in progress when you press it.
It's recording, I think. I got to go. Hi, okay. Right, so, not just teaching yoga today, I'm also baby Einstein tech kid. So today, as you saw in the note, it's all about your hips, so being happy hippies. And obviously, the hips really are they are a ball and socket joint. The shoulder is the other ball and socket joint in your body, but we're not talking about those today. Basically, your femur, your large leg bone, and your hip bone, which is your pelvis, these two come together. They're supported by a whole bunch of muscles, which are your quads, your hams, your IT, and your iliopsoas muscle. Also, too, I'm just going to get my notes here because, you know, and a lot of you who've had knee issues, obviously, when there's a problem, you learn about your anatomy. Now, for those of us who haven't had as many problems, you should still understand your anatomy. So basically, your hips consist of the bones that I just mentioned, cartilage, that absorbs impact when walking or moving, synovium, it's a thin cover that wraps around your bones and it produces synovial fluid. I've talked about that. That's basically a lubricant so that things glide and slide easily. Then you have bursa, which is a fluid-filled sac, kind of like the little air pockets that you get when you order something from Amazon that cushions and protects what's inside the package. So that bursa, again, is for extra cushioning. Then you have ligaments, and the ligaments are a big deal. These guys connect bone to bone. So between the pelvis, the hip bone, and your femur bone are going to be ligaments. And a lot of the same of this applies to the knees. We'll get to that. And then tendons connect muscle to bones. And of course, some of the issues that we'll experience if we have soreness in hips can be osteoarthritis. Now, there are lots of things you can do, and strengthening, what we do in yoga, can definitely help strengthen the bones because osteoporosis is a form of bone weakness. They're porous. Hip dysplasia, now, you wouldn't know that unless you had an x-ray or an MRI to check out whether or not your thigh bone's fitting properly into its socket, so that can be an issue. And then basically, what can we do? Well, we can eat an anti-inflammatory diet, and I think it's pretty easy for us to Google today. An inflammatory diet, typically junk food, over-processed foods, blah, 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 which I'm sure you guys don't eat much of. And then regular exercise, including stretching, and of course, maintaining a healthy body weight because extra weight. So basically, I've heard everything from every extra pound puts 7 extra pounds of pressure on your knees, for example. So knees and hips are weight-bearing joints. Clearly, if we're overweight, which, you know, none of you guys are, but, you know, for people that we know, that we love and we care about, you can just remind them. And I mean, it's no wonder there's so many knee and hip replacement surgeries today, for goodness sake. But thank God that people can get these things. But basically, and you know, it was interesting, on Sunday at church, I was looking at people's feet, and I was talking to, another yoga teacher that I'm going to be working with in a workshop. I was looking at everyone, and all their feet were turned out. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean their hips are tight, but just as somebody who's like proactive about how I'm standing if I go to the AGO or if I'm waiting in line for groceries, I just kind of remind myself, alignment, alignment, alignment. So when your feet are straight, and it's not a problem for my hips, in fact, it engages more of my muscles. Also too, bending to brush your teeth. I used to talk about this a lot. I had a different setup in my bathroom. Now I've got something different again. But to just go like this, if you just bend your knees, it takes all the pressure, well, it takes a lot of pressure off that lower back. So, you know, being mindful with everything we're doing and really thinking, which muscles am I engaging? And of course, sitting too long, that is a major issue today, but it's hard to skip that because of the fact that we, you know, have these things called screens. Yeah, so, and you know, and I brought the foam roller in, but you know, I'm gonna maybe speak to Jen after class because the foam roller, if you're, now, by the way, we're gonna be working on hip flexors. Do we start with our hip flexors? I think, so actually we're gonna do a little test. We're gonna test to see if your hip flexors are tight or not. And I'm guessing because you've been doing yoga for so long, they probably won't. So come on onto your back. It's called the Thomas test. No idea who Thomas is, but he'll be famous for about 5 seconds here. While we, so you're lying on the floor, and I want to, hang on a second, I want to see if both knees are bent. I think, yeah, you're gonna bring both legs, both knees into your chest. Okay. Both knees are into your chest, and then hang on to your right knee first, so interlock and bring it in really, really tight, and then extend your left leg straight up. So you're holding your right knee really tight into your chest, and then you're going to lengthen and lower your left leg down to the floor, all the way down. Now, if your leg doesn't actually comfortably land on the floor, on the mat, that just tells you your hip flexors are a little tight. They're long, narrow muscles in the front of your leg. It's not a big deal. We're going to be working on stretching these out today. So just take a moment to notice how those hip flexors feel on the left side. And let's inhale, slowly bring the leg back up. You know, this is great because this is where you get to work the muscles of your hip flexors. So it's not enough to just have strong muscles, as we've talked about. You want to have stretched, long, lean muscles. And now bend your left knee, interlock your fingers over top of the knee and bring it nice and tight into your chest. And then raise your right leg straight up and slowly. Now when you slowly lengthen and lower your right leg to the floor, we're just doing this Thomas test to check our hip flexors. You may be different from one side to the other, and just see if that leg can comfortably rest on the floor. And breathe here and just notice. And for a lot of you, this is probably easy peasy, and maybe some not so much. But our job is simply to create awareness and notice. And then slowly bring that right leg straight back up again, because this is where you work your hip flexors. And then with your hands behind the backs of your knees, either rock up to a seated position or roll over onto your side. Okay, so we're going to start with our first set of hip flexion. So this is where you may wish to, because we're going to kneel on your right knee and then take your left foot to the floor, and you want a 90-degree angle. So if you need extra knee cushioning, bring your mat and double it over so you have that extra conditioning. Okay, now you're going to keep a straight back, and we're going to do two things here. I want you to push your hips forward, keeping your spine nice and long. So now you're stretching your right hip flexors. All right, you feel that? You're just thrusting your pelvis or your hips forward. Breathe. And release. And let's do that once again. So you're just kind of tilting and thrusting your pelvis forward. That's stretching your long, lean hip flexors. I don't want to go into a whole bunch of anatomy because I've got quite a bit of it for you today. But if you can feel that, those are your hip flexors. You need them for flexion. You need them for climbing stairs. Okay? And then let's change to the other side. Okay, so once again, you can place your hands on your knee, and then you're going to thrust your pelvis forward. Feel those hip flexors on the left side. And release. And let's go again. And release. And one more time. And release. And let's change. Let's come back to the other side once again. And this time we're going to actually lunge forward. You're still going to keep your spine, your torso nice and long, so just lunge forward. So it's kind of a different stretch for those hip flexors, gets more into the lower part of the hip flexor. The other one was getting into the higher hip flexor. And back. Come forward again. There's a bit of a back bend in here too, and this should start to create some space. Possibly if you're experiencing sciatica, which I know somebody at home is practicing, always practice with awareness, respect, and compassion for where you are. And by the way, if your knees hurt today in anything that we're doing, please stop doing whatever it is, because knees are pretty precious. Yeah, they can be replaced, but let's avoid that until we really have to. So you may feel a little bit of discomfort on your knee. Pain is different, all right? And come back. And then let's go to the other side. Again, you're lunging forward. Feel the stretch. And back. Come forward again. And back. And once again, forward. And now walk your front right foot out to the side. And let's see if we can just come down. Just maybe bring your hands forward. Some of you may wish to, but please don't push anything here. You may wish to come down onto your forearms. I'm not going to. I'm getting plenty of stretch here through my hips, through the front of the thigh. So you've walked your right foot out to the side. Breathe. And return. And then let's just take the left foot again forward, walking it out to the side. And again, coming down, bringing your hands towards the top of your mat. Obviously, when we lean forward, it's taking some of the pressure off of your knee cap because your weight has been transferred forward. Breathing in, healing energy. Exhaling to release any tension or pain anywhere in your body. And let's return. And then let's take a modified child's pose, as we normally do. So your knees are as wide as your mat. Your big toes are touching. You flatten the tops of your feet and you're slowly and carefully taking your hips back towards your heels and then releasing your torso between your thighs. Now, this is an intense bend for the knees. If it's too much, then stay up with your hips and buttocks and come into puppy pose. You can lie your forehead on your mat or create a pillow by folding your forearms one on top of the other or stacking your fists, whichever way feels best for you today. Every day is different. Every day is a new day. And inhale, come on up. We're going to come over onto our backs. This is where you may wish to use your blocks, a little bit of height or a cushion or whatever you have at home. And you may not want to, but I'll tell you something. If you have any knee pain, elevating and supporting your knees are key. So coming onto your backs, I'm going to use my blocks to show you what I mean. You're going to bend your legs and bring the soles of your feet together. So this is simply reclined Baddha Konasana. Lift your shoulder blades, tuck them under your heart. Tilt your chin towards the center of your chest. And with your knees and legs folded outward, we're stretching our inner thigh adductor muscles. Now these are important to your hips. They're part of the muscle group supporting your hips. So you may wish to put your blocks either under your knees if you're feeling any knee pain whatsoever. Or if it just feels comfortable to support anywhere under your thighs with your blocks. And then take your arms far enough away from your body that your shoulders are resting comfortably on the floor. And just allow your adductors to relax. Allow your lower back to relax. Breathing, noticing the movement of your breath as it elevates your chest, expands your diaphragm and your abdomen. And of course, as you exhale, the reverse occurs. Now the hip joint can move in pretty much every possible direction when it's healthy. Unlike the knee joint, which is more like a door. It opens and it closes. It flexes or it extends. That's it. There is a bit of an exception where when the knee is bent, it can slightly rotate. However, most rotation is safer when it takes place in the hip and the knee just follows the rest of the leg. But we'll talk about that again when we get more into the knees. Alrighty, bring your knees together. Now, we're going to do pigeon pose in the lying down position. Because our body weight is not being used, it's a very safe way to stretch the muscles, the ligaments, the tendons of the hip joint. So let's lift the right leg, so both knees are bent, your left foot is flat, or your left knee is bent. You're placing your right ankle on your right knee. Then you're gently push your right knee away from you. Now, your right foot, remember when I was asking you to press your pointer, your index finger, toe mount in certain arm positions? I want you to press through the mount of your big toe. So you're pressing through the mount of your big toe in this position, and then you're going to bring your left leg towards you. You're either interlocking your fingers, and I would like you to interlock your fingers behind the back of your knee. Now the stretch, of course, is taking place on the bent leg hip. So that'd be your right hip. This is where you're feeling the stretch, the pull of the hamstrings, the IT band, iliotibial band. If you feel and can keep your shoulder blades, so different from your shoulders, if you can keep your shoulder blades on the mat whilst bringing your fingers around the front of your knee, and you can handle the stretch in your right hip, you can do that. If it's too much for your right hip, or you're pulling your shoulder blades and your head and neck off the floor, please place your interlocked fingers behind the back of your knee as opposed to in front of your knee. And while I'm chatting away here, breathe into your right hip. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Now, most of us are going to feel this at some level, and this may be as far as we're going to go, but I just want to spend a moment here because nothing can release. It's kind of like us trying to change our minds. It typically doesn't happen quickly. So when we ask our muscles, ligaments, and tendons that have been, well, perhaps ignored, maybe abused, underused, or overused, depending on what we do, it takes a moment, takes some time, and so notice. You can relax your foot at this moment because I want you to focus on this hip area and just see if it's letting go even just a little bit. Now there's a lovely analogy. Think about your hips like the bend in a river. All kinds of stuff can collect, garbage, stagnant, etc. So if we think about our joints, if they're not getting used enough or stretched out and lengthened and opened up, well, we get blockage. All right, how be we attempt to press our tailbones towards the floor? Might be just a thought. This will intensify the stretch, so back off. Don't go 100% here, go 80%. We want harmony in our bodies. We don't want to add more tension or stress. We want to release some, but we're also trying to activate sleepy or ignored muscles so that we have better function in our hips. And then last but not least, if you wish, think about lifting the small of your back off the floor, or maybe even doing it. So that's just your last step of intensifying a reclined pigeon pose. I also just saw it for the first time referred to as womb pose. So just breathe, make sure you're exhaling. Lovely. Cross that right knee right over the left. So nice and tight. Take your arms out to the side. And if you want, you can place that left foot on the floor and just gently let both knees fall over to the left. Both knees falling over to the left. Yum. Ah. Okay, inhale, bringing both legs back to center. Uncross your legs. Once again, if you are not centered on your mat, just scoot your body back into the center, or perhaps a little bit to the left. And now, keeping your right leg bent with your right foot flat on the floor, place your left ankle on top of your right knee. And then push gently, with awareness and respect, push that left knee away from you. So this gives a different stretch to the ligaments, the tendons, the adductor, your inner thigh muscles, and a little bit to your hip flexors. All right, that will do. And then interlock your fingers behind the back of your right knee. Let's press through the toe mount of the left big toe. Press through that toe mount just as you're holding. So you can see how this activates the muscles along the side of your leg. In fact, there's a whole lot going on here, but just be present with it. And then pull the knee a little bit closer towards you, your right knee a little bit closer towards you. You can relax your foot if you like, or you can continue to press through the big toe mount. You're interlocking your fingers either behind the back of the right knee, or if it's accessible, in front of the right knee. But that's only as long as your head and your shoulder blades can remain on the floor. It does intensify the opening, the stretch through that left hip, the bent knee hip. So breathe into it. Just notice whether or not it's letting go even the littlest bit. And hey, if it's not today, it may another day. You can always do these classes again and again, because clearly our problems didn't happen from just one day of sitting in front of the computer. So not only is your hip being stretched, it's getting a nice little rotation in the hip joint. Okay, can you press your tailbone just a little bit towards the floor? Don't do too much, don't do too little, but you should be feeling something. All right, and finally, perhaps, even if it's just a thought, lifting the small of your back off the floor just a little bit, sometimes just thinking about it, and if it's too much, please become aware of when you're trying to do too much, and drop the idea and settle for the middle way. Okay, and that will do. Cross your left knee tight over the right. Take your arms out to the side. Your foot can be on the floor or not. And let both knees fall over to your right. So when it comes to sciatic nerve pain. The piriformis muscle is so close to it that sometimes we don't know if it's sciatica or if it's piriformis. So the next thing we're going to do is what's called piriformis flossing. I know, and you thought you only needed to floss your teeth. Inhale, come back to center, uncross your legs, and just for a moment, extend your legs down in front and just bang out the backs of your knees. Lift your shoulder blades up, tuck them under. I did bump up the heat a bit, so that's why we're getting that noise. So it'll warm up again in here. I think I had mistakenly turned it down, and maybe somebody else did, I don't know. Just breathe. Alrighty, so draw your right knee up towards your chest, right knee up towards your chest, and I want you to grab I want you to continue to hold on to your right knee and your right ankle or the outside of your right foot. But it might be that your right ankle, and just holding on to your right knee with one hand, your right ankle with the other hand, and then bring that knee over towards your left shoulder. So it may not go very far, but just bring it towards your left shoulder. So you're not really rolling onto your left side, but you're bringing it over, and then bring it back, bring it back to the right side, and exhale, bring that right knee towards the left shoulder. You're holding onto your ankle or your foot. So this is flossing the piriformis muscle, and back, and the piriformis muscle starts at the bottom of the lumbar spine and connects to the upper leg area. And again, let's take that right knee towards the left shoulder. You're holding onto your knee, holding onto your ankle or your foot. Breathe. And back to the center. And then draw your left knee up and extend your right leg down in front. And we're going to do the same thing now on the other side. So you're holding on to your left knee with your left hand. Your right hand takes the ankle. And you're drawing your left knee towards your right shoulder. So it's kind of you're trying to bring it across the body. And you can feel this, I'm sure you can feel this, in your glutes, right in your hip joint. Let's just call a spade here. You're feeling it right in your joints, and come back. And once again, taking the left knee towards the right shoulder. So if you're just going across the body, you're not going to feel this in the same place as if you bring your knee upwards towards the shoulder. It's not going to be near the shoulder, but it's going in that direction. Come back. Exhaling. Inhale. Exhale. This will be the last time. Bringing your left knee towards your right shoulder. Excellent. Come back to the center. And we'll just do one happy baby because it's excellent. Again, for sciatica, piriformis, stretch and opening and release. So bring both knees up towards your shoulders because we want your knees outside of your torso. Bring your arms inside of your legs. If you can, grab your insteps. If that's not accessible, you're going to grab your ankles. And then you're going to bring your ankles as much as you can directly above your knees so that the soles of your feet face the ceiling. Again, if you wish, you can point through the ball of the big toe of your feet, both feet. Anytime your knees knees are 45 to 90 degrees flexed, which this is 90 degrees right now. Pointing through the big toe helps to keep the knee joint healthy. There is a connection here. But of course, we're stretching the hamstrings here, releasing any tension from the lower back. And releasing. Come on over onto your left side. We're going to work our abductors because they're clearly part of the hip action as well. So come over onto your side. Place your head in your hand. And so you're lying on your left side. You're going to stay on your left side. You're going to lift the left leg up as high as you can and take hold of it. So you're reaching up towards the ankle. Stretch and straighten the bottom leg. A little bit of pulling here stretches the inner thigh, the adductor muscles. Exhale, lengthen as you lower, and then bring the right hand in front for balance. And now you're going to bring the top leg up by itself. This is where you start using the abductor muscles. It's also working the obliques, which we worked last week. And I'm sure it's working your heart muscle as well. One more breath in, exhale, lengthen and lower. And now for the best part, both legs are coming up. Take your top leg as high as you can. Legs together, legs apart, legs together, legs apart, legs together, legs apart, and one more for good cheer, together, and all the way down. That was fun. They're not laughing, just in case you wanted to know at home. I am. Okay, now, head in hand, you're doing the other side. You know the drill here. Lift your top leg up, reach for it. And do a little bit of pulling. Is it getting too hot, Hill? You have a lot of clothes on. Well, it was nippy out this morning. It was amazing. I walked here last night through the Glen Manor Ravine, which was gorgeous. And by the time I left here, the church, I think the temperature had dropped about 10 or 11 degrees. But then I was walking uphill, so guess what? It all worked out. Exhale, lengthen and lower, and then place your right hand on the floor for balance, and now we're going to use the muscles, lift the leg up by itself. So you can feel your glutes working, you can feel your obliques working, your abductors working, and your heart. One more breath in, exhale, lower, and lengthen as you lower. Okay, both legs are coming up, top leg as high as possible, legs together, legs apart, together, apart, together, apart, together, apart, together. That'll do. Yay. Okay, let's roll over onto our tummies for a moment. Then we're going to be coming up. But I just want you to take your feet as wide as your mat. Slide your elbows underneath your shoulders with your forearms straight out in front. And then I want you to continuously look at the mat. So we're here in a Sphinx pose, but rather than lengthening our neck and looking up, I just want you to keep your neck in line with your spine, but keep your eyes looking down, perhaps between your fingers. So this should provide, I'll check in with somebody after class to see how their sciatic is doing, but this is just a nice, gentle opening, because it's typically in the sciatic nerve, is about the size of our baby finger. That's big. It's the biggest nerve in the body, the fattest nerve in the body. So when it's pinched and it's not happy, it lets you know. It runs down, starts in your lower back, your lumbar, through your butt, all the way down your leg and into your toes. It's that big, it's that long, and of course, that painful. But usually it's being pinched somewhere. So by stretching things out, and just checking in. I mean, you know, being the owner of our bodies, we know how they feel the best and we know how to make them well. We like to think we can figure out how we can best take care of them. Okay, come on all the way down. Place your hands underneath your shoulders. Curl your toes under. Come up onto your knees and then lift your hips up. Walk your feet a few inches forward and bend your knees. Press your sits bones towards the back of your mat. Lengthen your spine. Align your ears with your inner arms. Press all 10 fingers into the mat and then press your heels towards the floor. My oldest brother's dealing with an Achilles tendon problem. I think he said it's been 3 months. I know a friend of mine who's a tennis player. I think he actually, he really hurt his Achilles, and I think it was 6 months. So basically right now I'm mentioning that because this is a great stretch. Whether your heels are touching the mat or not, you're stretching your Achilles, you're stretching your calves, and then walk your feet towards your hands. Let your upper body hang. Let your head hang, let your neck relax, and then slowly roll up one vertebra at a time, keeping your chin tucked into your chest and letting your head be the last thing to come up. How are you doing? Feeling good? Okay, give your legs a bit of a shake out. So we're going to do sun salutations. Clearly, this is a great workout for your hips, and you should be feeling pretty loose. Okay. All right, coming up to the fronts of your mats. Inhale, in place, exhale, hands in prayer. Step your feet apart, arms up, reach up, look up, and arm back. Inhale, bring your feet back together, lift up out of your waist. Exhale, reach forward as you fold. Bend your knees if you need to, let your head hang, relax your neck. Fingertips tented on your mat. Step your left leg back, drop the knee to the mat. Bring your hands onto your front right knee. Focus your gaze for balance. Lift your back knee off the floor. Press through your back heel. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Pressing through that back heel, that is the anchor. Turn your hands forward. Spread your fingers apart and take the front foot back. Come into your push-up or plank position. Remember, if this is too much for your wrists or shoulders, you're going to bring your knees onto the mat and maintain whatever amount of body weight you can to strengthen the upper body. If you are holding plank, pull your bellies in, reach through the crown of your head forward, press through your heels backwards. This is a great posture if you're able. Practice it from time to time, holding 30 seconds, and then when that feels okay, hold a minute. As women, we mostly, need more upper body strength so we can maintain independence. Open those jars. Release your knees to the floor. Flatten the tops of your feet. Keep your hands where they are and slowly take your buttocks back towards your heels. Releasing your belly onto your thighs, stretching through your arms, your shoulders, and your spine. And breathe. And then slowly, keeping your chest low, releasing your forearms and elbows to the floor if you can. Stay really low like a snake in the grass. Lower your chest and your chin onto the mat, keeping your bum up in the air. Awkward, but enormously beneficial to maintain great alignment of your spine as well as mobility and flexibility. Slide everything out behind you. Align your fingertips with the edges of your shoulders. Place your forehead on the mat. Bring your elbows into your side body and then press your forearms down to the floor. Note how this moves your shoulders away from your ears and your shoulder blades down your back. On an inhale, roll an invisible alley with your nose without using your hands. Inhale, lifting the body up. Elbows stay aligned with your wrists and your shoulders. You're using the muscles of your back. One more breath in. Exhale, lengthen and lower. Curl your toes under, lift your hips up, walk your feet a few inches forward, bend your knees, press your sits bones towards the back of your mat, align your ears with your inner arms. On an exhale, press your heels towards the floor. Feel the stretch in the backs of your legs. Lift your left leg up in the air, look at your left hand, swing that foot as far forward as you can, other leg forward, and let your upper body hang. Arms beside your ears. Engage your thighs by pulling your kneecaps up. Pull your abs in to protect your lower back. Sweep the arms in front, reaching up, standing up, feet apart for balance, look up, arc back. Inhale, feet come together, lift up out of your waist. Exhale, reach forward, fingertips to the floor. If you need to, you bend your knees. In fact, let's bend our knees. And then inhale, sweep the arms out to the side, reaching up and overhead. Hands come into prayer and release. And let's do one more round. Inhale, exhale, hands in prayer. Feet apart for balance, reach up, look up, arc back. Inhale, feet come back towards one another, lift out of your waist, hinge from the tops of your legs, your hips, reaching, let your head hang. Step your right leg back, drop the knee to the mat, bring your hands onto your front thigh, and then focus your gaze for balance on the floor. Lift your back knee off the floor. Sweep the arms up. Shoulders stay down. Press through that back heel. So we're once again stretching hip flexors on the back leg, strengthening quadriceps on the front leg, and relaxing but working the hams as well. So all the big muscle groups, 4 of them supporting the hips, are being activated in sun salutations. Turn your hands forward, spread your fingers apart, take that front leg back, come on into your push-up plank position, or drop your knees to the floor, engage your belly, accepting whatever amount of weight you are able to hold. Do engage your thigh, your abdomen. Your thighs are engaged. And breathe. Then release your knees. Flatten the tops of your feet. Leave your hands where they are. And slowly, slowly bring your hips back towards your heels. Releasing as you stretch through the arms, the shoulders, the spine. Releasing the lower back. Your ears should be aligned with your inner arms or your shoulders at this point. Breathing and leaving your hands where they are. Perhaps you can lower your forearms to the floor. Stay nice and low, really low. And then when you're able, release your chest and your chin onto your mats with your bums up. So the more flexibility we acquire in our spines, the closer our chest will be to our knees. Slide everything out behind you. Align your fingertips with the edges of your shoulders. Place your forehead on the mat. Bring your elbows into your rib cage and press your forearms down towards the floor. Noticing your shoulders and your shoulder blades, retracting, releasing, and moving down your back. Now, we'll try, if you wish, the fuller expression of Cobra, which means if you want to, take your feet wider and press your baby toes into the mat. This gives us a little more mobility through the lower back area. Roll the invisible alley with your nose. On an inhale, let's everybody come up into baby cobra. So you're not using your hands, but if you wish now, you can press the floor away from you. And if you are dealing with any major back issues, please stay in baby cobra. Do not come up into the fuller expression. Breathing. One more breath in. Exhale, lengthen as you lower. Curl your toes under, bring your feet back in line with your hips, and then lift yourself back up into downward facing dog. Walk your feet a few inches forward, bend your knees. Make sure you're pressing all 10 fingers into the mat. Press your sits bones towards the back of your mat, lengthening your spine. And then release your heels towards the mat. Just feel that stretch in the backs of your knees, your calves, and your Achilles tendon. Lift your right leg up. Look at your right hand. Swing that foot as far forward as you can. Other leg forward. And let your upper body just hang. Arms beside your ears. Engage your thighs by lifting up on your kneecaps. Pull your bellies in. Sweep the arms in front. Reach up. Feet apart for balance. Look up, arm back. Inhale, stretch up. Exhale, forward fold. Bend your knees. Inhale, sweep the arms out to the side, reaching up. Exhale, hands in prayer. Okay, so we're just going to do 2 standing postures and wrap things up. Now, we're going to do warrior 1 to warrior 3. But I just wanted to remind you that our knees are highly influenced by the alignment of our feet. So again, do we stand like this? Or do we stand like that when we're hanging out? So it's all connected. That's it. Now, is it getting too warm in here again? No? Maybe a little. I just, it really depends. These things are pretty powerful. I'm just going to back about 1 degree. Okay. So we're going to go from warrior 1 to warrior 2. So stepping up, here's a message from Tech Guy. I don't know, I think he says it's great. Okay. He's in Paris. Yeah, well, yeah. And if it's Tuesday, it'll be Amsterdam, whatever. Okay, you got to do these things once. Okay, so let's step the right leg back. And now I want you to be sure that your hips and your shoulders are squared to the front of your mat. So it helps if you spread your feet a little bit apart, all right? Instead of having, because listen, I read all the stuff. They want your heels to line up, but I think it's more important for you to have your alignment just right. Okay, so bend your front knee, and then sweep the arms up. So this is warrior 1, Virabhadrasana 1. Vira means strong, and Bhadra actually means friend. So these postures, of course, as I said, because they make your feet work, especially balancing, which we're now going to head into, I want you to shift, come up onto the ball of your back foot. For balance postures, take your time, okay? If you're not even feeling it today, then just modify it whatever you can. But take your time, focus your gaze on the floor. You're shifting your weight into your front leg, and your arms are either going to be straight out in front. This is Virabhadrasana 3, at the side, like an airplane, or beside your body, whatever feels. And step back. Good. Let's try the other side. Give your legs a good shake out. So this will be, let's step left leg back. And again, separate your feet so that you can feel you should be on your mat, I think. Oh, you want to hold on to something. Okay, yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, so make sure your alignment with your shoulders and your hips are right towards the front of your mat. Bend that front knee, sweep your arms up. Take your time, come up onto the ball of the back foot, and slowly transfer the weight onto your front foot. Take your time, even if you leave that back foot on the floor, fine. And lower the foot and give the legs a good shake out. Nobody fell down. Yes. Are you okay, Inta?
Yeah.
Okay, good. One last pose, eagle pose. It's so great for your knees, for your feet. So in eagle pose, it is a balance pose again. We're going to come up onto the ball. Now, I don't think I can do the mirror image, so just listen. We'll first of all balance on our left foot. So come up onto the ball of the right foot. Now, because the right is going to be over the left, you're going to take your arms out to the side, and I want your right under your left. Right arm under your left, okay? Right arm under your left, and then release. And then you've got to bend and like you're going to sit. You cannot do this with legs straight. Lift your right leg up over your left. Again, focus your gaze. And you know, you can cheat in this posture, by the way. You can just keep that toe. So you're wrapping your right leg over top of your left. And if you want to cheat, bend your leg a lot. Bend that standing leg. Bend your standing leg. You need to bend the standing leg, and then you can actually keep the toes on the floor. That's kind of cheating, but hey, whatever works today. All right, stand up. Release the arms. And now let's take the left under the right. Left under the right. Left arm under the right. You're grabbing your shoulder blades. And releasing arms. And now, coming up onto the ball of the left foot, you're transferring all of your weight onto the right. Take your time, look at the floor. Focus, focus, focus on the floor. You've got to bend that standing leg, lift the leg up, wrap it around. Great work. Sweep the arms up. Exhale, float. Take your legs wide apart. Turn sideways on your mat for a moment. Place your hands on your hips. Fold forward. Tense your fingers on the floor. Let's lunge over to the left side as far as you wish to go. You don't have to bring your bum down towards your heels, whatever feels good. Exhale, come over to the other side. Up into the center, heel toe your feet back into the center. Have a sip of water, grab your iPad cover, and assume your corpse pose. Shavasana, flat out and relaxing, please. Good work, everybody. So just as you're sorting yourself out, closing your eyes, separate the biting surfaces of the teeth, relax the jaw, relax your lower back, let your body be soft and heavy. Breathe in healing, rejuvenating energy, and slowly breathe out, sending your breath to whatever part of your being needs healing, whether it's physical, mental, emotional. It might be your hips, it might be your knees, it could be your heart, and it might be your head. Your body is seeking homeostasis 24/7. It wants balance, it wants harmony. In fact, the whole world wants balance and harmony, in spite of the fear, the aggression, ideas of scarcity and difference. And the worst is probably indifference. Please do a final scan and just notice if you're holding on to anything, any part of your body that you're not letting go, any thought, just return to your breath, follow it, feel it, let it flow, and let it go. Inhaling the life force, long, full, and deep, exhaling. Long, full, deep inhaling and deep exhaling. Inhale and stretch your arms over behind your heads. Reach and stretch, point feet far, flex and point, and release your arms down by your side. Keeping your eyes closed, roll over onto your right side. Using your bottom arm as a pillow, bend your knees, and just stay here for a moment. I like this quote from Anthony Robbins. When you are grateful, fear disappears and abundance appears. Gratitude is the gateway to abundance. And abundance is not just about money or stuff. Very little to do with that. Having an abundant spirit, feeling large, feeling love, feeling joy, that's abundance. Okay, use your top arm now to push yourself back into a seated position if you're ready. Thank you for coming out to share your practice today. Namaste. What was this? Did you just release?
Yeah. That was great.
Yeah, that was great.